when we change someone psychologically, we're literally changing their brain. And we're changing our brains all the time. Our brains will be different when we walk out of the room to when we walked in. Because every time we pay attention to something, we're growing new neurons in our brain. So the question of how long does it take is quite a difficult one. However, I think that if I think of my golf work, which is very much about what we call close sport skills, so a skill where you've got time to stand there and take your time to hit the golf ball, as opposed to having to make a quick pass on a football field, you can make an impact pretty quickly with someone within 20 minutes or so. But we wouldn't imagine that they can then go out under pressure and be able to think in exactly the same way, because that habit isn't built well enough in their brain. Missing a penalty is what we call a social status threat. Our brain does not want to look bad in front of other people, because for evolution of Homo sapiens, humans, that's not a good thing to happen. Because when you start looking bad in front of other people and start getting pushed out of the group, then your chances of survival are going down. So weirdly enough, taking a penalty, it sounds odd, but that's a very evolutionary thing, same as hitting a golf ball. So you're then trying to get the penalty taker to understand, how do I control that part of my brain which is essentially kicking off? Now the good news is we have another part of our brain called our prefrontal cortex, which can start to manage and almost massage the amygdala. And that's where we're building things like pre-shot routines to try and help the performer, the footballer taking the penalty or the golfer hitting the golf ball, to start to manage what their brain is doing, which gives them a better chance of making the kind of movement with their leg or their arms or their body to hit the football or the golf ball. I was fortunate to do a lot of work with Jamie Peacock with the England Rugby League team when he was captain, who is, you know, an older player. He's older than I am. And how do you help Jamie Peacock? Well, you help him to be a better leader, and you're helping him to do some of your job for you by getting a better understanding of what psychology is, what's going on in the brain, and then helping the younger players in the squad to get the best out of themselves. The gold standard is that that way of thinking becomes a habit, so that when I put the penalty, the ball down on the penalty spot, then my habit is to take 10 yards back to see the goal or the ball going into the top right hand corner. When I recognise that I'm saying to myself, don't miss the penalty, I can switch that round and control it and say, no, I'm just going to go through the process here. I'm going to hit the ball after 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. So we're giving them lots of what we call mental strategies to deal and manage with the limbic system. But we want that to be a habit ultimately, which is why it's difficult, which is why, you know, Italy have such a big advantage in the game on Saturday, because they've got a team of players who've played together for such a long period of time. They know the habits around set plays. They know the habits about attacking and marking, whereas we've got a relatively new group of England players learning that. And when you have to do it under intense pressure, which that group of players will have not seen anything like until the Italy game, then it's difficult. And the habits which you might have started to form in some of the friendly games, all of a sudden are not working when the pressure is on.